Hello, welcome back. We're going to take a look today at healing and the totality of healing. So, in so doing, this material is from A Course in Miracles, and it stems from some questions that have come up here in this forum. Really, really good questions about healing and the totality of it. And it's worth taking a momentary pause in our journey through the text of A Course in Miracles, which isn't going anywhere. And we'll resume this in the next video. It's worth taking some time out. So thank you to all of you who have asked the questions on here. And before we get into our discussion here today, I really do want to invite you to ask questions if you have them. The spiritual path is one of self-inquiry. I mean, it really is. And there are inevitable moments of confusion and things that you may wonder about. And there are days where it doesn't seem like you understand anything at all and nothing is working. So perhaps you're having some of those. They happen on the path, and it's very beneficial and very comforting in times like these to be able to ask questions. So please ask them. And if something comes up for you and you'd like clarification, please let us know. Yeah, this is it's really, really important. And that's part of what I'm here for, is to answer questions and to serve as a guide. So yeah, ask them if you've got them. So let's start out when we're talking about healing with talking about what it actually is, and then we'll get into why it actually is total, even in the world where it seems like some people are into it and others aren't. Understatement, right? When you look at all of the conflict that pervades life in the world. It almost defines it, doesn't it? Well, that's what happens when we identify as an ego, as an individual, self-sustaining survival unit, necessarily competing for what we deem to be scarce and limited resources. Our brother's going to get our stuff. He's going to get our ideas. He's going to get our money, our belongings, unless we preemptively strike and attack first. Always attack, 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 attack. Not a very peaceful picture, is it? This is what needs to be healed, the mind. So healing is of the mind. One of the most important lessons of A Course in Miracles is one that quite naturally we're not conditioned to believe. Go figure, right? This course aims to turn the thought system of this world right side up. It's 180 degrees opposed to it. And it's not really opposed because there's no opponent. We're learning to perceive truly. And I said, turn it right side up because the perception of the world, this individual, you, me, separation, is completely upside down. It's backwards. And there is a thought system that serves as an alternative. Now, of these two thought systems, one's true, one's completely patently false. I bet you can guess which one's completely and patently false. So because we don't see that, we need to heal the mind. Now, it's the mind that is primary. This is the idea that I was just mentioning that is so prominent in A Course in Miracles and runs so contrary to the way that most of us have been indoctrinated in our respective societies, in our respective school systems, in our families, in our relationships, at work, all of it, indoctrination. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Well, we can choose to listen to all of that, or we can choose to listen to the guidance of our inner teacher. Yeah. Which is the happier choice? It's the mind that's primary. Everything else follows that. The mind is the cause. Everything else is an effect. When we're talking about healing, that includes this thing. The physical body is an effect. Mind is the cause. Heal the mind, what happens to the physical body? It follows that. Now, let's be very clear that this is not a guarantee here in the world that we're necessarily going to cure a chronic condition if we have one. And perhaps you or someone that you know has something that's very serious, like cancer or a very serious illness. Healing the mind is not a guarantee that they're going to remove that from their experience completely. That's not the guarantee, and it's actually not the point either. The point is to heal the mind. Everything else does follow that. The point is not to cure the physical body, though that may happen. The point is to heal the mind. So we forgive the world, our brother, all phenomena, all. We forgive totally under the guidance of our inner teacher, and we heal the mind. We learn to perceive truly. We learn to see things as they are and not the way we have made them, which is a hot mess. That's the non-profane way to say it. We've made a hot mess of what we deem to be our lives here in the world. And it does not have to be that way. We heal the mind. Now, healing is total. Forgiveness is total, or it's not at all. Same with healing. It's total, or it's not at all. Because we heal the mind. We learn to perceive truly. This is universal, and it applies to everyone. So a couple of the questions that have come up mentioned people that are having what we could say a very difficult, conflicted, and troubled time in this lifetime. People that may be very cruel, that may be narcissistic, that may be a chronic victim. I mean, the world shows us a parade of people not at their best. It does, doesn't it? And it's said in common parlance that, well, so-and-so can't possibly heal. They can never heal. Of course they're going to heal. So this is A Course in Miracles. So these principles are universal. Why will people that are having a very troubled existence heal? Well, they will. Doesn't mean it's going to happen right now, today. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen in this lifetime, even. It's a choice that we all have to accept the correction of our inner teacher, atonement, for ourselves to heal the mind. It's a choice that we have to heal the mind or not. And we could all choose to run and hide. We could choose to dismiss all spirituality as a pointless, useless endeavor, a complete waste of time, and just a waste of oxygen. I mean, you could say that. No, you're not saying that because you're here on the path and you're interested in A Course in Miracles. So, quite naturally, you're not saying that much, I hope. But somebody can really, really just go off. And it does not mean that they're going to take spirituality up in this lifetime. They could come and go. But eventually they will take it up. It's not under your control right now, but understand this. There is only perfect oneness. Healing the mind applies to everyone. When you heal the mind, whose mind do you heal? It's not a trick question. When you heal the mind, whose mind do you heal? All of ours. There is one mind. If there's only perfect oneness, your healing the mind is a recognition of this. Now, whether your brother, who is a narcissist or a chronic victim, recognizes it or not, actually, they do recognize it deep down. They could choose to ignore it, and by dismissing you, they're choosing to ignore it. That's their choice. Forgive them anyway. Because when you forgive them, who are you forgiving? Perfect oneness, remember? So, this idea is completely antithetical to the way we're conditioned when we believe we're individual human beings, self sustaining survival units, competing for what we deem to be scarce resources, limited, all that stuff. If you wish to substitute another word beginning with the letter S for stuff, yeah, all of that we made up, invented. We could choose to let it go. Because there is only perfect oneness. Not only will your brother heal in time, in truth, he is healed. We're all healed. In what we call time, we appear to be enmeshed, trapped, stuck in what we deem to be a linear progression from one moment to the next, from one calendar year to the next. And because there are and have been many calendars at play here in the world, not just the Gregorian calendar that the majority of the world has adopted. It's made up. So too is the Mayan calendar made up. They're all made up inventions. What is time, really? I mean, we rarely pause in the midst of our daily life and all of our obligations and responsibilities to contemplate such questions. But time is nothing. Space is nothing. There's only perfect oneness. Time and space are separation ideas. 1 second appears to be separate from the next. 1 epoch appears to be separate from the next. 1 century separate from the next. It's a separation device. So too is space. Distance is a separation device, is it not? We appear to be separate in this made-up idea called space from our brother, when in fact we're not. There is only perfect oneness. Part of what we do when we accept the correction of our inner teacher, we learn to perceive truly. This is called the atonement in A Course in Miracles, and it has a very different meaning than the conventional common parlance definition of atonement, where we think about extracting vengeance for a supposed wrong that our brother perpetrated on us. It's not that we're talking about. Atonement is the correction of our inner teacher, central to which is the acknowledgement, the acceptance, the acknowledgement that the separation never occurred. This perceived separation from God never occurred. Therefore, where are you? Exactly. That's where we all are. It's perfect oneness. The Course's definition of heaven is the awareness of perfect oneness. So that is where we all are, at home in God. Now, it doesn't appear so when we go in for concepts like an individual, ego, right? Space, time. When we look in the mirror and we see something that looks similar to this, it's supposed component parts are arranged in different ways with things like fingers and ears, stuff like that. We call it a species and have named it Homo sapiens sapiens, with the second sapiens to distinguish us from the Neanderthals in time, right? So truth is beyond all that. We heal, we learn to recognize this, we accept atonement for ourselves, central to which is the idea that the separation never occurred. It never occurred. There is only perfect oneness. So yes, healing is universal. And yes, here in the illusion of time, it appears as though some people will never pay attention to anything kind in this lifetime at all, because they seem to be a sociopath. I mean, don't they, right? They seem to be really unkind, or perhaps they're having a difficult week, month, decade, I don't know, lifetime, maybe even. But what is that if there is no time? There's only eternity and perfect oneness. What's going on is we're waking up to that. So if you choose, this is a helpful visual to imagine that we're all in a dark movie theater. All right. We're all in a dark movie theater, and there is a film being projected on the screen like this, like everything around you. Mind is the projector, the cause. The images on the screen, the effect. And we're all sitting there. Maybe some people are eating popcorn, and maybe you've applied that horrendously sticky, buttery substance that is not real butter, and it's really salty, and maybe you have a soda or some candy, or who knows? I mean, maybe you snuck in a little bottle of booze in your purse or something like that, right? I mean, who knows? But we're all in a movie theater and we're watching a film, the same film. Now, as the film continues to run on and on, it does have an end, actually, like a film in an actual movie theater comes to an end and then goes click, 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 click when it's all done. You have the choice, and we all have the choice right now to get up and walk out of that dark theater into the sunlight. When you get up and walk out, there's no more movie theater. You're in the light, in light, in month. That's analogous in this visual image to our waking up, our choice to get up and walk out of the theater. Now, the other people who have not chosen to get up and walk out haven't chosen to get up and walk out yet. For them, the movie is still playing, no longer for you. You've simply realized our perfect oneness, and they have not. So they're sitting there watching the film, eating popcorn, as long as they choose to. The situation is we all have a choice to get up and walk out. So when your brother chooses to get up and walk out is not up to you. What can you do in this lifetime? Forgive, share the Holy Spirit with your brother, and show up as your most loving, most forgiving self in all situations. Your brother will pay attention and will notice, even if he or she does not appear to do so on a conscious level. Even if it appears nothing is changing in their behavior, they're still relating to the Holy Spirit in you, and you're planting seeds that aren't necessarily going to ripen in this person's lifetime. I mean, they could come and go, and they could be dead and gone in the eyes of the world. And this seed of love, of recognition that you're planting in them will ripen at some point. It will germinate, and a beautiful plant will arise, and it will flower. When? Well, it's not up to us to determine when. We simply share the Holy Spirit with our brother. Ours is to share the Holy Spirit with our brother. Forgive the Son of God. Accept the atonement for ourselves and recognize that the separation never occurred. Our brother is us, and he is worthy of love, and so are you. As you forgive, do not forgive just other people and neglect yourself. Remember to forgive yourself for dreaming this, for everything. Don't leave yourself out. Very, very important, isn't it? All right. So my hope is that you've found this helpful. Healing is universal, and we always come back to the same principles here with the Course in Miracles. Isn't that exciting? Right? It is. And as adult learners, we need to hear things 50,000 times, it seems like. But it might be the 50,000th time that you hear the same idea, that it just sticks for you. And perhaps something has stuck for you. That's your inner teacher speaking to you. That's why this broadcast is going on, so your inner teacher may speak to you, and that you may be inspired to extend the Holy Spirit, to extend the miracle, to go and work miracles, to extend love to the Son of God. All right. So thank you, as always, for joining me. The subscription button's right here in the corner. That's that red arrow. Go ahead and click on that and join us if you haven't. And I really, really thank all of you who have recently subscribed. There have been a number of you. What we've got going on here is a growing international community of people that are dedicated and committed to their spiritual practice. It's that is the highest form of offering that any of us could ever give anyone anywhere throughout space and time, our dedication and commitment to spiritual practice. So for that, and for showing up here when there's so much other content out there on social media, I thank you for that. Questions and comments are more than welcome. And if you're new to this material, there are going to be things that are said here that are said in the course, quite frankly, which is why they're said here. Right? Yeah, I'm not making any of this up at all. There are things that are going to be said that are going to be shocking, and that's part of it. Remember, this course aims to turn the perception of the world right side up. It's profoundly upside down. And on some deep level, we all recognize that, or we would not be here. So I appreciate your recognition of that and your answering the call. If you feel that your question is too basic or too beginner like, or it's something that you should just know, I invite you to ask those questions especially. Oh, yeah. There is no such thing as a question on the path that's too basic. There are people that have been studying this course in particular for 20 or 30 years who will be very relieved that you asked what amounts to a very basic entry level kind of question. I invite you to leave those judgments aside. Those are the best questions that you could ask. Because as adult learners, who identify as individual human beings, separate self-sustaining survival units, ego, we need to hear the basics over and over and over again because the 5,000th time we hear these most basic, simple ideas from this course could be the time that we're inspired to put it into practice. And that's why we're doing it. All right. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you again here very soon. Have a great day, everyone.